Greetings and welcome back to yet another episode of the Daily Run, and today we're playing as the vacuum cleaner, Apollyon, who has the properties of a vacuum cleaner in the fact that he can suck items up. If he sucks up active items, he adds those effects onto his active item, which is called the Void, and if he sucks up passive items, they disappear and he gets a random stat upgrade, or a downgrade. A downgrade can happen, I think, but essentially what usually happens is you get one stat up and one stat down, and I think it's balanced in some way. I don't really know the technicalities, but basically when you suck up passive items, you get stat in returns, and active items just get added onto your active item. So that means throughout the run you can suck up like 1,000,000 items, and when you use the item the Void, then all of those triggers. So if you had something like Book of Revelations, the Nail maybe, and let's say the Book of Shadows, what would happen when you use your active item is all of those effects would trigger and you would become this quite powerful mess. And obviously there's a bunch of fun synergies. There's also a bunch of items which just don't really work well if you have the Void, but overall, you know, it's a very interesting concept of an item, and they decided to put it on a character which starts out with 2 red health, and because this item is on the stronger side, especially later on in the run, I think it's a fair compromise. So now you can see where this run is going, in what direction, besides getting Toxic Shock and getting Growth Hormones, which are obviously very good items, and the fact when I sucked up Mom's Coin Purse I actually gained a damage up, which is kind of ridiculous when you think about it. In this Devil Deal we got Brimstone and the new item, which I think is called Princess Lost Crown, or maybe just a Black Crown basically. And what this Black Crown does is essentially whenever you have only 1 red health, or exactly 1 red health, you get a damage up and a tears up, I think, so your DPS goes up overall. And it's quite difficult sometimes to be at exactly 1 red health, especially when you pick up items, but overall it's a very doable strategy, and it's actually what I aim for when I'm playing dailies, because being at 1 red health means you can still play the Devil Deal, not the Devil Deal, but you can still play the Blood Bank, so you can still get Devil Deals, and you can still have the access to boss trap rooms while still having just 1 red health, and that's usually a way to go. And in this case, this is, I would say that this is actually a very good item, at least for my playstyle. Of course, I imagine this is one of those items that maybe just doesn't work well with a lot of people who maybe prefer to have all Spirit Hearts, or maybe like having just a bunch of HP. But me personally, I like being at exactly 1 or 0 hearts if I have the choice, because that kind of gives you all the modularities and all the options that you can have in this game. And I think that's kind of the optimal life to be at. But obviously you can see that this run is going in a very good direction, and the sad thing is that it only goes to Mom, and whenever a run only goes to Mom, that means you have to focus on finding ways to go deeper, and you need to find AWAS runes, maybe you need to find a shovel, or maybe there are some new items which allow you to go forward. But what essentially it boils down to is, can you find some teleport cards, can you find a way to go forward or to go deeper so you can get that bonus exploration. And like I said, one way to do that is by finding a way to go deeper, and the other way to do that is by visiting the sacrifice room. So if a sacrifice room spawns on the mount floor, what you can do is you go in there, you sacrifice yourself like a bunch of times, and eventually, if you have enough health, you're gonna get teleported to the dark room. And when you visit that, you're gonna get all of the points for visiting all of the previous floors, if that makes sense. So essentially it's gonna give you like 10,000 points just for being there, which is a ridiculous amount of points. And if you don't do it on a daily run, you're in a very big disadvantage. And of course that's our strategy. So first of all, find second secret rooms, because they usually contain AWAS runes, and the second one is, if we can do that, find a teleport card. And what the teleport card would allow us to do is to actually go to boss rush, do boss rush, get 5,000 points, teleport out, and then sacrifice ourselves if there is a sacrifice room. Having a teleport card is just usually useful on the mount floor, because that means you can go do boss rush really fast, or just go do it immediately, and then teleport out to explore the rest of the floor in case maybe you missed something, maybe you didn't go to the shop or something like that. But it's especially useful, like I said, if there's sacrifice room, because we can then use that, and especially because we have enough health. And what happened, even better, because usually what you have to do is you have to sacrifice yourself at least 13 times to get teleported via the sacrifice room. So it's a very good idea if you have some Spirit Hearts laying around, or if you just have red health which you can trade away. But in our situation, what happened, we got a very nice library. It had 5 items in it, and obviously every book is an active item. And when I sucked those up, I got the Book of Revelations and the book of the black book that gives you black hearts. The book, I'm not really sure how it's called, but essentially every time we use our active item we get 2 spirit hearts, and that's very useful in this particular situation, because we didn't get any other spirit hearts on the floor. What also usually happens when you play the sacrifice room, you're gonna get a few spirit hearts just from actually sacrificing yourself on the spikes. And in those situations, it works out, but it could happen, or there is a chance that you just won't get any spirit heart. So it's always nice to kind of have a backup plan. So for that reason, I didn't use my void item to actually blow up skulls. And of course, if you kind of saw me what I was doing before, I was trying to go back and forward to kill the skulls. I was trying to find the teleport card, but I didn't manage to do it. And I imagine it could have been hidden in one of the shops before, but which I didn't visit, or maybe it was hidden in a sacrifice, or not in a secret room that I didn't find because I didn't have enough mobs at the time. But as I said, this kind of showcases the power of Apollyon. It's really nice when you can have actually multiple items in the same room, so like a library or maybe like boss rush, because then you can essentially suck them up and just get a really nice benefit out of them. And if any of them are active items, the effects just stack. And obviously some items are really bad, so like the red pill or Plancy, I think it's called, and when you use that item, what it does, it just kills you and kills everyone in the room, which is kind of fortunate. But if you have some revival items, you can imagine that being very useful against bosses like Hush, for example. And of course some people did suck it up and they ended up dying, which is kind of a premature death and kind of unfortunate, but you know, we have to learn eventually what each of the item does. And as you see, our final score was quite decent. You know, we finished in 40th, and the only reason why we didn't finish in the highest, and if I actually did go to boss rush, I would be, I think, in the top 5, but as it is, we are in the 40th place. Of course, this is like top 30 after you exclude the cheaters. And our damage penalty, you might notice, is relatively high as opposed to the previous dailies, and that is just dependent on which floor you visit. The damage penalty is actually higher, or at least the scores you get deducted, depending on how far you go. So if you only go to Mom and finish the run there, this damage penalty would only be like 1000 points, but if you go to the Dark Room, like in this case, which is the final floor, your damage penalty is much higher. So it might seem like I got hit much more, even though I get hit only like 4 or 5 times throughout this whole run. And you can see that our item penalty was very low, and obviously that's just due to the fact that we didn't pick up a lot of items, since I didn't really need them because we got Brimstone very early on. But yeah, we did finish 40th, which is an excellent score for a daily run, and I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you next time.